Forum. In addition to today's forum, we have posted and widely distributed the warrant for your review. It's actually at the back of the room if you haven't gotten a copy. This is, of course, the agenda of items voters will be acting on at our annual town meeting. We encourage you to read through this prior to town meeting so that you can feel fully informed and ready to participate on May 9th. We also wanted to let you know that the budget documents are now formalized, finalized, and posted to our website on the town moderator page, on the finance committee's page, and on the homepage at shutesbury.org. So that means that you'll have a good 2 weeks to peruse it and review it before we have our town meeting. Also, the finance committee, it will be holding a budget information help Shutesburyans understand the proposed financial plan for the coming year and to ask their questions prior to town meeting. We highly encourage folks to attend as it does streamline the town meeting process significantly when voters come in feeling informed. It will be held in person at Town Hall, but there will also be a hybrid option. And lastly, the deadline for parents and caregivers to register for the Little Voters Lounge, our free town meeting childcare, is May 2nd, a week from today, and we only have a few slots left. So, wonderful. For more information, there are flyers at the front of the room. Alternatively, you can always visit the town website or email me at moderator@shutesbury.org. So today, I want to begin by thanking the candidates here. The people you see before you have offered their time, their expertise, and their energy to serve our town in a variety of ways. It can be easy to assume that a town just runs itself, particularly when we all get busy with our own day-to-day lives, but it doesn't. It takes the collaboration and dedication of people like these folks who are willing to work to meet the responsibilities of their own lives, and then on top of that, step up to contribute to the community. We are so thankful for each and every one of you. So I just want to mention, we want to thank Tom Seifert. We have Jim Walton. Can you wave when I actually? Tom Seifert, running for Select Board. Jim Walton, running for Select Board. We have Claire Pless, running for the Board of Health. We have Elizabeth Murphy, running for the Board of Library Trustees. We have Anne Graham, also running for the Board of Library Trustees. We have Michael DiChiara, running for Planning Board. We have Megan Lennon, who's running as a writing candidate for school committee. And that's our group for today. Oh, and we have you said Garrett Simonson. Garrett Simonson, thank you, running for the Board of Health.
We also have
Anna Hurd.
And Anna Hurd.
Thank you. Okay.
And Anna Hurd, you are running for?
school committee.
School committee, wonderful. Okay, excellent.
All right. So thank you very much, every single one of you. I also want to thank Rita Farrell and Melissa Makepeace O'Neill for providing refreshments, Mary Ann Antonellis for making this beautiful space available for our event today, and I want to thank you for coming out and making it a priority to get to know the candidates on your ballot this year. Thomas Jefferson asserted that an informed citizenry is the only true repository of the public will. This is true not only on a national scale, but in our local politics in small towns just like ours. So thank you for making yourself informed, because whenever we do, our democracy is better for it. I will now explain the procedures for this forum, which were communicated to each candidate ahead of time. After these opening remarks, we will have a 10-minute coffee and questions period. During this time, you are welcome to go get yourself some coffee or tea, settle in, and if you have any specific questions that you would like to pose to the candidates for the offices represented here today, please use the question form at the front table. Simply circle the office you are addressing and write your question. Please submit a separate question form to me for each question you would like to be posed to the candidates. All questions should be geared towards the office and will be asked of both candidates for that office where there are more than one candidate available. In order to be read, all questions must focus on issues regarding town governance and responsibilities of the office addressed. They must maintain decorum and utilize respectful language, and of course, they must avoid ad hominem attacks and disparagement. Questions that do not meet these guidelines will simply not be read. In the interest of time, if there are questions that are similar to each other, I, as the moderator, will consolidate them, doing my best to capture the spirit of your questions. After the coffee and questions period, we will welcome one candidate at a time, beginning with the select board candidates. The first candidate will take about 3 to 5 minutes to develop their prepared introductory remarks, focusing on who they are, what office they are running for, why they are running, and what their goals for that office are. Following their remarks, as the moderator, I will pose any questions from the question forms I have received that are directed toward that office. The candidate will have up to 3 minutes collectively to answer these questions. Please remain quiet through the forum, no clapping, cheering, or calling out. We will clap for all the candidates once we have heard from everyone. Once the candidate has completed their responses or their 3 minutes are up, we will move on to the next candidate's introductory remarks, and so on and so forth. After each candidate has presented, we will have a round of applause and move on to the refreshments and informal meet and greet portion of this program. We encourage you to use this opportunity to connect with one another, build community, and get to know these candidates on a human level. Before we move to our coffee and questions portion, Matteo Hangallo, our interim town clerk, would like to take a few minutes to share words about the election.
All right. Okay. Just a few quick reminders. Don't forget the deadline to register in time to vote, not just in the election, but also at town meeting, is April 29th. You can register after that, but you won't be registered in time to vote for this election or town meeting. We do have vote by mail available for this election. You can apply online. There's a link on the town clerk website. You can also apply on paper, and I brought a bunch of the vote by mail applications are on the table in the back. If you want to fill that out, you can just give it to me today if you'd like. The ballots can be returned by mail or in the drop box at the front of Town Hall. They have to be received by 3:30 p.m. on May 9th when the polls close, not postmarked. They have to be received by that time. The legal deadline to apply to vote by mail is May 4th. United States Postal Service is delicately. Our mail, I learned this, I didn't know this. Our mail goes from here to Amherst to Springfield to Hartford and then back up. So mailing something from Town Hall down the road, that piece of mail has a real journey. And the first batch of ballots took about 10 days to get to the people they're supposed to get to. We had to put some pressure on the Postal Service. So I'm saying May 4th is the legal deadline to request the vote by mail ballot, but if you want to be safe, do it sooner and drop it off in the drop box rather than mailing it if you can. The sample ballot is posted at Town Hall and on the clerk website, and again, it's also on the table in the back. Candidate statements are also up now on the town clerk website, so you can read some more about the candidates there. We do have a few open seats that are going to be filled by write-in this year. One planning board seat, one school committee seat that has a publicly known write-in candidate. Constable and town clerk are also write-in offices. We also have several other open seats on appointed boards and positions around town. So I encourage you, if you want to get involved in town government, to step forward and volunteer for those. I have received a few questions about the town clerk situation, because we have town clerk as an office on the ballot, as well as a ballot question removing it as an office. So Mass General Law has a two-step process for changing an elected office to an appointed office. The first step happened at special town meeting in September when the voters essentially instructed the select board to put this question on the ballot. That's what we voted on first at the special town meeting. So now we have to vote on the actual question of changing town clerk from an elected office to an appointed office. Because the current term of office for the town clerk, even though we don't have a town clerk, but the current term of office ends this year, that means that the office also needs to appear on the ballot. Under Mass General Law, if the ballot question passes, whoever gets elected as town clerk has to step down when the select board appoints somebody as town clerk. That's how it works. If the ballot question fails, whoever gets elected as town clerk fills the full 3-year term of that elected office. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay, so and it's an open seat. You can write anybody in. Don't write me in. But if the ballot question succeeds, whoever is elected will serve in that office until the select board appoints a town clerk. And then that person has to step down. If the ballot question fails, that person's in that position for 3 years. So So bear that in mind if you write yourself in. Yes, Nathan.
Just a quick question on write-in candidates. If somebody gets written in and declines, what happens?
So then it would go to the person who get the next largest vote share in the write-in, and there is no minimum number of write-in votes. It's one, yeah. It has to be a real person. It has to be a person who exists. But yeah. Anyway, the last thing I want to thank those. Yes.
Just one quick question on that. Is there any gray area there? So if somebody gets elected and then the ballot question passes and that we're going to have an appointed position. Now there's an elected person there. Is there any gray area there where they could contest the vote and try to stay in, or is it just boom,
No, if the ballot question passes, then as soon as the select board executes that contract with whoever gets appointed, then that legally ends the term of office for whoever was in that office. This is Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 1B, if anyone wants to look it up. They could appoint the person that was elected, yeah. Yes?
Is what you're saying already in place, or is it gonna be voted on in town meeting?
So
I just see it all as a big circle, I'm sorry.
So on the sample ballot, you'll see at the bottom, we have the ballot question, which is worded really inartfully, but this is, again, the language the state requires us to use. It's terrible grammar. Shall the town vote to have its elected town clerk become an appointed town clerk of the town?
Okay, so you're saying that the town has its choice to do this?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
What we voted on at special town meeting was
Thank you.
just to put it on this ballot.
Uh-huh.
Now
It's a quick question. So, in the past, at town meeting, when article questions came up, the opportunity to amend or add amendments, you had them written down and then presented them properly to town meeting. Has that process changed?
for amending, no. At town meeting, no. You can't amend a ballot question though.
Right.
But at town meeting, no, that's still the same amendment process. All right, if there aren't other questions about the town clerk thing, the last thing I just wanted to thank, we have a lot of people who signed up to help with the election as poll workers, and I'm really grateful for the tremendous turnout. The community works best when we work together. I am still in need of one more poll worker to help with voter check-in in the afternoon shift, so if you're free on May 9th, 12 to 3:30, you can email me, townclerk@shutesbury.org, and let me know. I also need one more ballot counter during the tallying, which will start at 3:30 when the polls close, and hopefully go to maybe 5:30. We'll see. The pay for that is $15 per hour, and again, if you can do it, just email me, townclerk@shutesbury.org. Yes?
If someone like myself applied to be a poll worker, should we just assume we will do that work, or do we hear back?
You'll hear back from me,
Okay.
yeah, because I did get a lot more people for a lot of the shifts than I ended up needing.
Okay.
But these two shifts are still in need of someone.
Okay.
But if you'd like to cover them or serve them, $15 an hour. All right, thank you all very much.
All right, so at this point, I'm doing a quick time check, Mateo.
Sorry.
We will have a few minutes for coffee and questions. If anybody would like to add any questions that they hadn't originally, that they haven't gotten to already, this is the time to do it. Are we okay if I start in 5 minutes rather than the 10? Does that feel okay for everyone? Okay, yes.
If we put just one copy of a question in the basket, do we need to make another copy for you then?
Oh, no, I'm going to collect everything and sort them out. Yes, thank you. All right, so 5 minutes, get your coffee, tea, write any questions you have down, and then we'll get started.
Right here, this one.
Yeah, oh, and it might be
All right, folks. Questions in the basket that I missed?
All right, I'm gonna sound.
Thank you, Mary. Okay. All right, so we are going to begin with Select Board. I just want to be clear that we have about 3 minutes per candidate to answer questions after their introduction, and we have about 14 questions for the Select Board. So I will do my very, very best. I'm trying to consolidate as I go. But if you feel that your question has not been answered in the way that you were hoping, please use the meet and greet time afterwards to meet with people individually. All right. I just want to be respectful of your time. So we have first Tom Seifert running for the Select Board. Welcome, Tom.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to say thank you, first of all, to all my fellow Shutesburyans for bothering to come out. Good morning, and as we've heard a lot of times when we're meeting each other in public, salutations to all of you. And I really appreciate your engagement and your commitment. I think being here shows that you're committed to voting with purpose and intentionality. And it's awesome that we're having yourselves informed. So thank you for being here and for motivating all of us, I think. Thank you very much to our town moderator for putting this forum together. This type of forum is above and beyond what a town moderator has to do, and so I think it's a really good sign that our town I just wanted to throw that gratitude out there. I'm also grateful to the town employees who made this happen, besides just the town moderator. It took Mary Ann and the library some work to make this happen. It took the website committee a little bit of work to publicize it. Our town administrator, our administrative assistant have been including it in our Friday 5 updates. I hope you like the Friday 5 updates. I know I'm really appreciating them. But I think we're in a really good moment in the last couple of months for deep community engagement. And it's really exciting to witness. And lastly, just thanks to all of you who are sitting at the table and where I just was. And thanks as well for co-motivating each other to work and serve for this town. So a little bit about who I am, and I probably already took up about half my time thanking all of you. And you can probably know that if you've looked on my website or heard about me a little bit in town. But I've lived here for about going on 9 years with my husband. I was a German professor, and before that I was a chemist. And since becoming a German professor, I've actually segued into more of adult basic education and teaching of English to newcomers to America. And I am also, for the last couple of years, very involved in municipal government. I work in Wendell as the Board of Health clerk and the Planning Board clerk. Here in Shutesbury, I am an associate member of the Planning Board. I have served on the Lake Wyola Stormwater Erosion Task Force and the Lake Wyola Boating and Safety Review Committee. On the Planning Board, I'm an associate member who gets activated as a full acting member, a full voting member, excuse me, when needed for recusals or other reasons. And I've been rather much a fully voting member for about 1.5 years now, participating heavily in the meetings regarding the Coles lawsuit. And I think we're all really happy about how that turned out. So that's some of my municipal and work experience. I do have a long career as an educator, and I think that speaks to the importance of public service in my life. And I wanted to point out that the way I understand town government, working in it and being on committees and whatnot, it's a corporation that really only does public service. It's very different from other shareholders and whatnot to get revenue from. And we all understand how difficult it is to get revenue when you don't have a product, when you can only offer services and spend all the revenue you get and not get anything but the base rate of taxes and whatnot. So that's what's motivated me a lot to take on this job, is to to see how we can be more fiscally sensible and also preserve for ourselves this wonderful town with all of its nature, with all of its dedicated community members who want to stay connected. And we could be at a moment sometimes where we perhaps overspend or take on one issue and neglect some of the other ones. So I am definitely there for the environment. I'm definitely there to help our schools stay healthy and our whole school system. And I know that that means we might have to ask for revenue from outside of town. I am there for our infrastructure, our police, our public safety. And one of the biggest motivators for me in this whole process is being transparent and open in our government. Transparency and openness allow for proper fiscal decisions to be made. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but you get a lot of good input. And transparency and openness also prevent costly regulatory issues from coming up later down the line. And unfortunately, we have had some experience of that in our town. And even if it's just $500 or a little bit of lawyer's fees here or there to address a mistake or a misstep, it adds up. So, is that my time? It is. Okay, so thank you for being here. My goals are to help Shutesbury become even better. And my goal really is to be there for Shutesbury. So thanks very much.
So as I said, we have 14 questions here. I'm trying my best to consolidate them. You've already
Lightning round.
You've talked about leadership positions already, but we have some that are very specific to budget and finance. Do you want to share any budget and finance experience that you have, both municipal and career?
Sure. I have municipal budget experience mostly from my job in Wendell. I have to prepare the budget for the Board of Health and the Planning Board there. And we have to run it by the Finance Committee there and compromise and justify the requests that we're making. I am very involved in Wendell beyond just the roles I get paid for as the Planning Board Clerk and the Board of Health Clerk. And so I am quite involved with their Finance Committee meetings as well. For the literacy volunteers of Orange and Athol, I prepared and ran the budget for the whole organization. Please don't laugh, it was a grand total of $25,000 annually with one employee, but there were 2 grants that we had to monitor from the Department of Education and from the United Way, and we were always on the lookout for other grants like Wish You Well and the North Central Massachusetts Foundation. And at Texas A&M, where I was a teacher in the International Studies Department, I was on the faculty review committee. And that doesn't say right away budget, but it really was a very intricate discussion all the time about reviewing faculty members, and they would self-review, and we would also have a scoring system. And that translated into how much money they would be paid and whether the department could handle that. So I do have budgeting experience.
Great. What characteristics do you think are important for a select board member to have that might be different than a committee member, and how do these fit your approach? You talked a little bit about transparency already. I imagine that's one.
Yes, I think transparency just it attaches to any person who is working volunteer-wise or not in our municipal government. I think a differentiating factor between a select board member and a committee member, seeing as most committees, or perhaps all of them, have a focus or a topic, would be exactly that. I look at the select board level and the select board committee as the committee that's most prone and most expected to designate and delegate work and research gathering and whatnot to other experts in other committees. So I think the individual committees, you probably have more experts about specific topics. And why I like to think of myself as so appropriate for the select board is I actually have a wide array of experience professionally and personally, and would be able to learn and also talk with a wide array of people who are expert in their fields, and they can inform me.
What are your ideas for lowering the tax rate?
as simple as it sounds, increase revenue and watch spending. I know that it's probably true that the revenue issue is much more of a problem in Shutesbury than the spending issue. So many things we just need to spend money on, and prices go up, as we all know, and it seems anything and everything that we could imagine needing, such that it feels sometimes impossible just to afford what you need. Nonetheless, I do think that having long and honest discussions about the needs that are being asked for in the spending category is always worthwhile. And if there's not an emergency, let's calmly look and explore sometimes extremes, even if it's just for devil's advocacy or to have a fully informed decision about spending. And revenue-wise, we could, besides asking the state and outside sources, we could look for maybe increased fees in town. I know we're doing that in Wendell, for example, and it can make $10,000 to $20,000 a difference sometimes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Much appreciated.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
All right, folks. Apologies if we did not get to your individual question. Please let's try to see if we can make that happen during our meet and greet time. But now we would like to hear from our next select board candidate, Jim Walton. Welcome, Jim.
Yeah, first, Maddie, thanks so much for bringing us all here together. This is a great example of an old town government style form of government in action here, the ATM type process. And I'm really happy to be part of that. Thanks to all of you, great turnout. Shows a great interest in our town here. Much appreciate you all taking some time out of a weekend day to come out here and listen to us. What an amazing building this is, and I think we all, regardless of how we voted or where we were on that position, this is all of ours. It belongs to all of us, and let's make the best of it. Who am I? I'm the oldest of 7 kids, so I'm from New England. I have a bachelor's of science from chemical engineering from Northeastern. That set the stage for an awesome career. A career that took me through promotions to a lot of different places in the country. Starting as an engineer, moving into manufacturing, running a manufacturing operation, getting into sales and marketing, strategic planning. Ultimately got into running the business, a business for medical products. And as part of all of that, I learned that I would be out of a job if we didn't make a profit. If we didn't have customers, had to negotiate customer contracts, purchasing contracts, had to manage a team, had to find a style of management that worked with that team. A collaborative style worked really well. We had competitors. We had domestic competitors. We had Asian and European competitors at a time when tariffs weren't as high as they are today. So we didn't have as much protection with that business. Great career. During that time, was married, had a couple of kids, raised those kids. They're out there living their life today, having a good life, a really good life. I'm proud of them. I am divorced, and Shelley is my partner, and we also have Grady, a little kitty. So, yeah. Career took me here just about 15 years ago. And we looked all over the place, both sides of the Connecticut River, for a place to live for a long time. And it was a really intense process, and we settled on here. And we had a lot of places to choose from. And this is sort of the reason I'm running for office today, is we're all here for a reason, probably a little bit different reasons for each one of us, the reasons we're here. But we're here for a reason, and we live here. And I want to make sure this place stays what it was like for me 15 years ago coming here, and what it has continued to be over the last 15 years. I wanted to start giving back some years ago, so I found my way to the Finance Committee And that was an interesting way that worked. I talked to somebody in town here and said, I really want to start giving back. I want to get involved in offering my support, volunteering. He said, the best way to learn about everything. And he was really right. And I've gotten a great experience from that over the last few years. I work in that finance committee. And I think we've got a team there, a finance committee that's doing a great job. They're very disciplined about their budget process. They work really closely with departments. They've done a great job, and I've learned a lot from that whole process over the last few years about how a town works, and specifically about our finances. And the way we do what we have to do to balance budgets, competing the needs of the town. We all have different interests here. Some of us are on fixed incomes, and it's all about lowering taxes. Some of us are bringing young kids in here, and they want to have a really good school system. And those compete with each other. And we as a finance committee, we spend a lot of time trying to sort that out, that balance. And it's been just a great experience. So why run here today for select board? I've been on the finance committee. It's a great team. They could do without me now. And I want to use those same skills and talents and things I learned from there, as well as everything I learned in my career, and put it towards the select board, where I think I can add some additional value. We're at a very critical time here right now. Revenues are shrinking. The cost side is going in the wrong direction, so we're getting shrunk. Okay.
So,
I just got shrunk.
While we have many different questions, I will be sure to ask the same questions to both of you. So we started with, can you describe the leadership positions you've had? And for you, we said, including your municipal finance experience. And what do you think are the top 3 most important qualities for a select board member that might be different from another committee member?
Yeah, I think setting the agenda for the town. What should the town be focused on today and over the next years? I think that's very important. Select board oversees departments. There's a number of different departments here. There's the schools, and the select board ultimately oversees all that. Liaison with state, federal, municipal officials. Those are all important things. Making policy for the town. I think those are all important things that this role is responsible for.
And did you want to say anything about other leadership positions you've held for the town, or?
For the town, the leadership, I was the chair of the finance committee for a couple of years. It was at the time that the process for getting this library completed, that all happened during that time. It was right after COVID, so there was quite a bit of COVID activity during that time that really had impact on the town in a lot of different ways. So maybe just, that's part of, I think, what was important. Not to mention just learning a lot about how a town works, how decisions get made, and working with all these committees and town officials and how they all work and what they're dealing with, what they're faced with every day. So there's a lot learned in that role.
And what are your ideas for lowering
rates? Revenue. Economic development is, we need to put together a team related to economic development that can help us identify ideas. The way I look at that whole challenge, and this is our biggest challenge today, is lowering taxes. I look at this. This is a huge challenge putting this together over a long period of time. And it was all done by people in this town. And it took tenacity, it took teamwork, it took leadership, it took teamwork, working across teams. And those same skills, those same people are here. And we can apply those to reducing our cost, as well as identifying revenue sources. And that work's going on. This revenue source is coming along. The Quabbin, there's work being done there, very good work by town people. That's being done today. We're gonna see results of that. And that's just one of many.
Thank you, Jim.
All right, thanks. Thank
Can
you
we
all.
give a round of applause for both of our selectors? Thank you to both of you. Next, I would would like to invite up Claire Pless, running for the Board of Health.
Hello. I'm a little shorter than the last two candidates. Hi. I was born and raised in Shutesbury, over on Baker Road, and I returned here in 2022. Sorry, 2020. I never imagined I would be back in Shutesbury, but my husband and I bought our house on Montague Road in 2024. And since then, I've decided I really wanted to try and become more involved in the community. Something I kind of hadn't really done as much when I was growing up here. And it's something I'm very interested in starting to become a part of a little bit more. That's kind of why I'm running for Board of Health, but I think it'll give me this opportunity. So a little bit about me. I'm a geologist. I have my PhD from UMass Amherst, and I teach at Mount Holyoke College. This means I care an awful lot about what's going on in the ground below our feet, and I care a lot about how what's down there impacts us and our daily lives. I even teach a course on geologic resources, from water to materials used in solar panels and data center processing chips, and I focus on the impact that those resources have, not only on an environment, but on us as communities as well. And I have a lot of lens towards sustainability when I teach that. So this is what draws me to the Board of Health. The ability to kind of connect my background knowledge to helping people know more about, for example, where their water comes from, what the contaminants in it might be. I will say, growing up here, I always had the mentality of we have really nice, clean well water. And then since moving back here, we've dealt with PFAS in our water, we've dealt with radon in our water. And how they migrate through the ground. It helps me to be better able to hopefully educate others on these sorts of issues. So my goal on the Board of Health is to be able to help my community further understand various health issues that could come from our environment, as well as understand how to have a cleaner impact on said environment. I also hope to be able to work with the board on finding ways to mitigate issues like these and keep our community well informed and safe. Obviously, I am quite new to this, so it's very, I'm really excited for this opportunity and very interested to learn so much more about what being on a board means and the sort of impact I can have for my community with my knowledge. Much shorter than in my time needed.
Not as much. It was wonderful. All right, thank you very much, Claire. Let's please welcome Garrett Simonson, also running for the Board of Health.
Good morning, my name is Garrett Simonson. I'm running for re-election to the Board of Health. I'm finishing up my second term, so looking to be re-elected to a third term. My husband, Dean Gendron, and I moved to Shutesbury in 2019, and shortly thereafter, Kat Hilton said, "You're going to be on the Board of Health." And when Kat says that, you listen. So I offer over 20 years of experience working in public health. My background is primarily in emergency preparedness, public health emergency preparedness and response, with an emphasis currently, I work for the Cambridge Health Alliance, so I support and provide technical assistance to over 60 health departments in Massachusetts in preparedness and response, and I currently serve on the town's emergency management team as the Board of Health representative. I'm also a part of a couple of regional coalitions here in Western Mass that focus on developing shared services. So one of the things that we've been working on as a board is identifying ways that we can collaborate with our neighboring communities to offer shared services. For example, we have a public health nurse that we share with Leverett, who's very active and engaged with both of our communities around health education. I'm also really proud of the work that we do on the board to reach consensus in the decisions that we make. I think that that's a really important feature of the work that's done by local committees, is finding ways that we can reach consensus in our decision making and looking for those opportunities around shared services, particularly grant funding for shared services that help to address some of the budgetary issues that the select board candidates were talking about earlier. So I look forward to continued service.
Thank you, Garrett. And it's worth noting that we are selecting 2 people for our Board of Health. So Garrett and Claire are not head-to-head. They're side by side, that's right. So we will move on now to the Board of Library Trustees, starting with Elizabeth Murphy.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Hi, everybody. I'm Elizabeth Murphy. I'm running for re-election for my seat on the Board of Library Trustees. I started in September 2023. And since I've been a library trustee, we've mostly been working on supporting the opening of the new library. And now we are amending and creating new policies for this library building. For example, at our last library, we didn't have a meeting room or study rooms. So now all of those things need policies. Something that I think that I bring to the library trustees is that currently I'm the only member that has small children. And so I like to think of myself as a representative for people, for young parents and caregivers and children, just so that when we make policy or assess different things, we have the youngest library visitors in mind. And last but not least, I would just say that along with being a library trustee, I am very involved with the library in other ways. I'm a founding member of the Turkey Trot Committee, and I was on the grand opening committee, and I'm also the Friends of the Library liaison to the trustees. So I go to the Friends of the Library meetings and I report their happenings back to the trustees at each of our meetings. It's been my honor to serve as a library trustee, and I hope to continue serving, and I hope you will consider voting for me. Thank you.
All right, and next I'd like to welcome up Anne Graham, who is also running for the Board of Library Trustees.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne Graham, and alongside Elizabeth, I am running for Board of Library Trustees. I'm interested in this position as something very new to me, so I'd be replacing somebody with experience who decided to step down from the board. I'm very excited about contributing to the work and learning from Marianne and Elizabeth and the other board members about the policies that need to be created, and being a supporting extra person to learn and move forward with new policies to support the library work. I'm relatively, I think of myself as relatively new to town. I moved here in 2018, which now seems like a long time ago, and I am fairly recently retired and excited to share some extra time with working toward this beautiful space that we all can share together. I hope you vote for me too.
And again, there are 2 open slots on the Board of Library Trustees. Next, we will welcome for the Planning Board, Michael DiChiara.
So I'm Michael DiChiara. I'm one of, there's 3 slots on the planning board. There's 2 people running, so opportunity there. So I'm running to get reelected. This is my 3rd term. A little bit about me. I've been in Shutesbury since 2002. raised our 2 kids, and I've got deep and broad experience in town government. So I was 1 term on the select board for 3 years, 3 terms on school committee, including regional school committee. Planning board, I was a founding member of the broadband committee, which is I take great pride in. I'm currently the ECAC chair, Energy and Climate Action Committee, and a few other things, CBA and community preservation. So I've sort of seen a lot of different things. Planning board, the way I put it in my statement, I think is really true, which is trying to look at how our current experience is in town, like, you know, what the town looks like and feels like for us currently, and also projecting in the future what it'll look and feel like for people in the future. So doing both of those things. In terms of issues for me, we've been in defense, I think, the last few years. One of my recent ahas was we should be looking at how to facilitate development in town that plays to our strengths. We are a rural town, we're a pretty town, we've got passions about certain things. We could try to attract, arts programs, more outdoor programs, things that, generate revenue but fit with the town, which would be really exciting. So trying to figure out how to do that, as well as sort of just a bit more mundane planning board things. If someone's got a question about their house or their AC, their accessory dwelling unit, which is something that the law changed last year and got broader. I think that's mostly it. And I'll just say, please vote for me, vote for Steve Bressler because he's on the ballot. And do you want to write yourself in?
So, Michael, we did not have any questions for Board of Health or Board of Library Trustees.
Oh, we had a question?
There is one, but it seems like it's something that you already answered in your statement. So I just wanted to put it out there and see if there's anything else you wanted to add. It does say, what can the planning board or other boards do to encourage commercial development in town that would be appropriate to Shutesbury's rural character? So,
That would be my answer.
that's your answer. I just wanted to make sure you had the chance. All right, thank you. We would also like to welcome up Megan Lennon. She is a write-in for our school committee.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, my name's Megan Lennon, and for ballot purposes, it's L-E-N-N-O-N, just like John Lennon, so you can remember that when you go to your ballot and write in for Megan Lennon. It's how I spell my name. I use she and her pronouns. I probably am the youngest the shortest time living in Shutesbury, probably in this room, which is less than 2 years. My family moved here in August of 24, I think it was. I took a job at Amherst College where I served as the Associate Vice President of Student Affairs there at the college. But let me start back a little bit about my expertise sort of with the school board or school committee, why I have even interest. My bachelor's degree is in elementary ed and special education. I always wanted to be a teacher since the 5th grade. I think obviously reading is really important. I spent my youth as an only child at the library. It's probably where I got the passion just for sort of school in general. And then I realized I love school, but I didn't want the same 20 faces looking at me every day after student teaching, and now I let 2,000 faces look at me every day. No, I chose a path. It was the college route. But as a mom of 2, you probably have heard in the background, the 4 and the 8-year-old back there. My ears are split between this room and that room. It's really important that we have a really incredible school system that's both inclusive for our children, that offers the environment that we need them to grow and foster, that isn't wrestling in front of screens the whole day, isn't necessarily just at the desk, but has a play and has elements of learning that diversify the way that our children need to learn. All of our children learn on a spectrum, and we can't just have one method or model. It has to be across the board and be a little bit individualized. Our Shutesbury School offers that environment. We've been very blessed for 2 years to have our children there. I have one who's in pre-K, one who's in 2nd grade, and they've had some challenges as themselves in growing and learning, and have been really, really fortunate for the teachers there that have been able to work with them to understand their needs and to challenge them in ways, but also help them to grow. In this role, when I was in New York, I moved from New York I've taken the classes there. You're required to take like a 2-hour class and do all the things there. So again, my passion in leadership is about advocacy and making sure that we show up for our children. What's happening in South Hadley is really hard to read about and to sort of take in. And I thought about that as I was thinking about doing this. When I saw the ballot come on my computer screen and there was an opening for the right, and I was like, oh, I haven't missed my chance. And so I think more than ever, it's important that we have people who are advocating for our children and for our town in the school area to make sure that we don't lose our arts. That we don't lose that opportunity for our children to play, to have just some sort of rec department or rec ideas as well at the school. But again, like our colleagues down the road, I don't want that for our town. We're really blessed to live here. We love where we live. We want to invest in Shutesbury, and this is our first step in doing that as a family. And so hopefully you'll write me in a couple weeks, Megan Lennon for the school committee. Thank you.
What's the address?
My address, I forgot. It's 366 Pelham Hill Road. That's 366 Pelham Hill Road.
Can you spell your first name?
Sure, Megan, no extra letters, as I always like to say.
We do have one question for school committee today. What are you doing or would you do to obtain or purchase clean organic foods for Shutesbury Elementary School children?
Wow, that's a really great question, and unfortunately I am new to this area and I'm not able to answer that question fully or truthfully without the answers and information that I'd want to gain before answering that question. I think it's about making sure that our vendors or who we're utilizing, who we're supplying from, I think back about ways how we can use our own sort of produce as well to do that as well. And so I think that'd be one way I would look at is what can we do ourselves? Can the children do something as well as growing their own sort of foods as well for the committee? But unfortunately, just with my lack of expertise, answer that question fully would need some background information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we have Anna Hurd, also running for school committee. Come on over.
Hi, I'm Anna Hurd. I'm running for re-election at the school committee. We have 2 people running for 2 positions, so please vote for us. So I've served for 3 years, and it's been a whirlwind. I also serve as the Shutesbury representative on the regional school committee, and have been part of selecting a new superintendent. We're in the process of finding new principals and a new student services director. There's a lot of turnover right now that we're sort of managing, and in a really tight fiscal time. It's been a really rough fiscal season this year, and I've been going to budget hearings on the Hill. So I went to the Ways and Means hearing, I went to the DESI hearing, I went to town hall meeting with one of the representatives. I think it's really important for people on the school committee and people on the finance committee and the select board to coordinate with the state, because a lot of our financial problems are not something that we can solve by ourselves, and we really need a little bit of state support. And the more vocal that we can help. And when we were talking to Joe Comerford, she says specifically, you talking to us really makes a difference. And so, I'm doing my best. And just so you know, school committee is a lot of fun. The regional school committee is a huge time commitment, but I do think that it is worth it. And having my voice to support equity for the Shutesbury kids and to ensure that the money's spent wisely and that we're supporting all of the kids, the neurodiverse kids and the LGBTQ kids, and everybody getting an equal attention from the administration, just ensuring that everybody is supported.
Thank you, Anna. And just to rephrase, the question was, what are you doing or would you do to obtain or purchase clean organic foods for our Shutesbury Elementary School children?
So this is actually harder than you think it is. There's so many government mandates and like these lists that you have to order off of. It's actually very difficult to order outside of the lists provided, but I think supporting the nutrition departments in both the elementary school and in the regional schools to make the wiser choices and to look for organic and local purchases when they can. I think it's unrealistic to expect us to be 100% organic, 100% local. We just can't do that in a fiscally sustainable way. But I do think that we can move towards more local and more organic in a way that is still financially sustainable. And so I think pushing the nutrition departments to move in that direction is something that we can do. I think we can create policies that encourage that to happen. And I think, you know, supporting the elementary school to create a garden and they have a lot of sun there. They actually do. And, you know, introducing the kids to growing gardens is something they already do. And I think we can promote that even more and hopefully use more of those vegetables. I think it's pretty small right now, but I think we could maybe promote it.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I have a current 8th grader and a 10th grader, and they're moving into 9th and 11th next year.
Let's give a big thanks to all of the candidates who took the time to be here today. So at this time, please feel free to get some snacks, have some coffee, tea. We'll do a little bit of a meet and greet. And please come to our town meeting on May 9th. The meeting starts at 9 o'clock and election day runs between 8:30 and 3:30. All right, thank you so much. Unrelated announcement, sorry, real quick.
Unrelated but important announcement, the Shutesbury PTO auction will be held at the SAC on May 8th from 4:30 to 7, and you can pick up your winnings during town meeting.
Chef Gail. I had Chef Gail.
You did?
Yeah.
When did you leave?
Finance department.
Hi, everybody. Just one quick reminder. Tomorrow at 6 p.m. here at the library, Senator Jo Comerford will be giving a presentation on the Quabbin watershed and the revenue situation there with some of her updates tomorrow at 6. Day at 6. No, that's all right. You know, that's the end of time.